And there we go, everyone. We are back again for another fantastic conversation on Friday Night Counterattack. It is boiling hot here in the United Kingdom. The heat wave has begun, and it's not just because I finished university for 3 years. So I'm going to be getting a really nice rest. I'm off to a couple secret locations, which you'll be seeing on our social media. So keep an eye on that over the weekend, which will be great fun indeed. We are talking all about La Liga today because we've been focused very much for the last couple of weeks regarding the Champions League, European football, and of course the Premier League. So without further ado, we are introducing our La Liga expert on the podcast. And actually, we don't need further introductions than the one, the only, the hostess with the mostess, Sara Pararia. Sara, it's good to have you back on the show as always, my friend. And this is where you're going to get to shine, showcase what La Liga has been all about this season, learn a bit more about what's happening at Barcelona with the new managerial changes, go into a bit more depth of it, and realistically speaking, look at some of the unsung heroes across European football. But first of all, how have you been this week? It's great to see you back again.
Great to see you, and a massive congratulations to finishing uni. That is such a feat, add it to the list of accomplishments. That's absolutely brilliant. I'm so happy for you. But no, I've been good. I've been good. Life is busy, as you mentioned. There's we've been talking a lot about Champions League. There's so much going on in football as all the seasons wind down, and we so slowly start prepping for the Euros. It never stops. So yeah, it's great. It's great. La Liga also officially sealed with Real Madrid as the champions, as it pains me to say, but yeah, it's been busy. It's been crazy.
And we're recording on the night where Real Madrid are playing Bayern Munich in the Champions League. If you are listening to this on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, we don't know the result because we are recording before kickoff, and the team news will be out any moment now. So we may be reacting to it at the same time. But before we get into Real Madrid and their triumphant win in La Liga this season, it only seems right to start with FC Barcelona, the team that Sara supports and so happily showcases on our podcast, and of course with Homestand Sports as well. And of course in daily life, which is great to see. Sara, one thing I wanted to ask you before we move on to the team, the squad, and especially the manager, is you were lucky enough to go to watch Barcelona play in the Champions League this season. And it was a very strange feeling for a lot of fans who have said this season that it felt very off-putting being in the Olympic Stadium as opposed to the Nou Camp. But when you went, if you can remind me if I'm wrong, but you said it was just as fun, but not as much as energetic in terms of the atmosphere. But I wanted to know, do you think that's had a big factor in how Barcelona fans have been feeling going to match day experiences at the Olympic Stadium as opposed to the Nou Camp?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, I think I was so excited back in September, all the way back in September. Wow, against Anderlecht. Because
it wasn't Anderlecht. I corrected you, but now who was it?
It was Anderlecht.
It was the other Belgian team. Anderlecht didn't make the Champions League this year.
I'm almost certain. Wait, can I not remember?
How can we forget this?
No, surely not.
You had Porto, you had Shakhtar, and you had Royal Antwerp. That was it.
Antwerp, you're so right, Anderlecht. What a shout!
Do you know what? I was remembering your reel, and I was like, that's definitely not the Anderlecht badge. So I knew we were talking about a Belgian team, but definitely not Anderlecht as well. But we got there in the end, which is great. But yeah, just tell us a bit more about that experience and how it's contrasted to previous years whilst you've been attending games at the Nou Camp as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to several. I've been lucky enough to go to several La Liga matches, including, El Clasico with Messi and Ronaldo. I've been really lucky to see a lot of great Spanish matches. But there was something really special about going to a Champions League match. And, arguably Antwerp were the, lowest level team in that group. But still, the vibes were immaculate. And shout out to the Antwerp fans because they brought a ton of fans over from Belgium to Barcelona. But that all being said, I do think not playing at the Camp Nou was a massive factor for Barcelona this season, for the fans, for the city, because
for the players even.
For the players, absolutely, because the Camp Nou is one of the most notorious stadiums in Europe. It is the biggest stadium in all of Europe. So that, of course, is going to affect the team, affect the coach, affect the fans. It's going to affect everything. Now, that being said,
affect the away team as well, because if I remember correctly, the away fans, they sit at the highest point possible, furthest away from the pitch.
Yeah, no.
Oh, no. That was crazy when I'm thinking about it. Sorry, carry on.
No, it's all right. I think the stadium was about 50,000, which you think is still like quite big, but Camp Nou is just under 100K, like 99.
Insane.
So this is half of what Barcelona fans and players and everyone are used to. So I think it really did play a massive factor. It just didn't feel like home. That's the only way I can explain it. It just felt like we were almost playing away. Like, sure, all the fans were there, but that's not our stadium. Something was a bit off about it. It wasn't as big. It didn't bring that culture and that history that we're so used to. So I'm not saying that's why Barcelona didn't win any trophies this season. Absolutely not. But I do think it played a factor, and it did take away a bit from the culture of the club. So I can't wait for the Camp Nou to be back in action, refurbished and all brand new, because actually it is quite an old stadium. When you go, you do, when you see some of these other European stadiums, you're like, this is, Barcelona. I'm a bit shocked it took this long to do those renovations. But yeah, it should be all fancy and shiny now.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely fantastic because I believe you're going to have a roof as well, which would be incredible to see, but also removes from the uniqueness of the new camp because it's always hot in
Yeah, I'm
Barcelona. It's a
happy I got to.
cauldron.
Yeah, you've been there as well. Like, I'm happy that I got to see it prior because it's so iconic. But nowadays, yeah, everything's getting done up. So I think it'll still be exciting to go. And yeah, maybe not get rained on if you're there on a rainy day, but it's all part of the experience.
Absolutely. I can't wait for it as well, which would be unbelievable to see what an iconic stadium would be as well. And obviously, my favorite new camp memory is back in 1999 when Manchester United beat Bayern Munich in the Champions League final.
Oh,
So I was just remembering, you know what, that was an incredible moment to see in Barcelona as well. Before we move on to, again, I just want to know one more thing about the new camp from you. What's your favorite moment from experiencing as a fan at the new camp for you, Sarah?
there's so many. I mean, one that stands out is a Barcelona match against Getafe where MSN was playing and
Yes.
all of them scored. Like, seeing that and just being like, are you joking? Messi scored a free kick under the wall. Like, what are we like? That's insane to say that I've seen that. Another one that stands out though is, of course, El Clasico. It was the Spanish Super Cup, so it was preseason in August, and Messi and Ronaldo played. Real Madrid actually won that match, which was gut-wrenching, but Ronaldo got sent off with the red, which was something like so crazy to see too, because he doesn't receive a lot of red cards, but he was just being way too much to the ref. He had a big attitude on him, and that was kind of like a win for the
Was that
Barcelona
when
fans.
he got fouled and then he was complaining to the ref and the ref gave him a second yellow? Was it that one in the blue
Yeah,
shirt?
yeah, exactly. And it was
Yeah,
also when you remember the season before is when Messi held up his jersey at the Bernabeu.
yeah.
So when he scored, he did that at the Camp Nou, and we were like, absolutely not having this. Get him off the pitch somehow, take him out, and then he was sent off. So we were kind of like, yeah, that's what you get for having absolutely no class. So yeah, we loved it.
So
But
when
the
Messi does it, it's monumental, but when Ronaldo does it, it's
no,
no
it's more
class.
about why are you taking his celebration? Like, you're so like do your own thing. You
I'm
haven't.
not I'm not a fan of that personally myself. Like when you're seeing Saka celebrate the same as James Maddison in the Premier League, and when you're seeing other people celebrate, I'm not a fan. Like keep it each to their own, unless it's like an iconic celebration. But when it's doing
Yeah,
it to
of
mock them,
course. The
personally,
run
I'm not a fan.
out, yeah, the sliding into the corner. Sure, there's obviously some that are a bit more generic, but also
What's your
because of
go-to celebration?
oh, I don't have one. I've never really had like
You're just there like
yeah, I'm just to do that.
easy.
No, like I mean, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the times now, because I mean I just play football for fun, but I see people doing like the Ronaldo Sui after they score, and I'm like, this is Sunday League. This is Sunday League. You gotta go. Like,
Oh my
this
goodness
stuff,
me.
though, I love the creative ones though. Like I love Pedri's like this, I just like, or Dybala's, even just little things that you haven't
I do
seen.
Dybala celebration in real life. I did it at my wedding for goodness sake. I don't know why I did it, but it was just funny. I was just like, let's pose like
Walk down
this.
the aisle. Yup.
My
Oh,
in-laws were furious, and I'm like, this is the man your daughter married, and Paulo Dybala, big
that's so
influence on
funny.
me.
Yeah, I mean, there's things I feel like you might naturally like. I think Messi's is like really, you might naturally just do it, not because you're signaling a god above, or but you're just kind of like the ones, you're like, yep, that's us. Like it's a little bit, I don't know. I think I've definitely done Messi's before, but I don't think it was as intentional. But no, I've never been one to have like my signature celebration. I mean, I don't think I'm on
Not
that.
yet.
Not yet. We'll
Not
see.
yet. We'll find one, which would be great fun. But yeah, sticking with Barcelona, let's get to their on the pitch issues this season. And this is divided opinion across the podcast, across the group chat all season long, because me being someone who's adored and admired Robert Lewandowski for a good number of years, I still thought he would have been absolutely fantastic, especially after winning La Liga last season under Xavi for Barcelona. But on the other hand, Sarah, you're very much against how he's been playing this season, not scored as much, not impacted as much in the Champions League, especially where it matters the most. And it's impacted your league position, of course, fighting against Girona and Real Madrid in the top four battle as well. But there are rumors, and we're not going to speak mostly about the rumors because I'd rather get onto the factual stuff than obviously the hearsay. But there are rumors that this could be Lewandowski's last season at Barcelona. And there are talks of Vitor Roque, who was a Brazilian wonder kid we were talking about earlier this season, being loaned out in the summer as well. And with all these issues with signings and loan signings as well, where's your head at right now as a Barcelona fan in terms of what you should be looking forward to going into the summer?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Lewandowski last season, clinical. This season, he's kind of turned a bit of a corner in the last few months. He's done a bit better. But oh, it just started pouring out here in Toronto. So it's
I
getting
thought you meant in Barcelona. I thought that was a segue into it. It rains, it pours in Barcelona right now.
It's really crazy. But no, I think we can't be relying on like a 35-year-old striker anymore. The thing is, it's not Lewandowski's had a brilliant career, but Barcelona, is that really someone that you want to be relying on as your number one striker? Maybe
Every game.
yeah, maybe an off the bench cameo, a little 70th minute, sure. But they absolutely need to. That's one of the biggest issues with Barcelona. They need somebody that is going to get that ball into the net because right now, you have Rafinha, who we've spoken about, who's been moved to the left side with Lamine Yamal, but both of those two look like they're fitting in really well there because will Joao Felix stay? I'm not sure. But
Do you want him to stay personally? Would you have him to stay?
I'd love for him to stay. If you're asking me though, between the two, I'd probably take Joao Cancelo. I think he's more versatile, and I've said this on the podcast, but Joao Felix is a fantastic player, and he seems to really be liking Barcelona, and he's playing a lot better at Barca than we saw at, for example, Chelsea and Atletico. But I don't know if we can keep everyone, right? Because obviously they have economic issues still. So I mean, I think Lewandowski has to go. Get what you can get for him, but they need somebody that is going to be way more clinical for them and younger as well. It's not a
Future
distant.
proofing.
Yeah, it's just it's his time. And like I said, he came to Barcelona in his first season. He won La Liga. Great, brilliant. We love that, but you can't just keep him on forever.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at Lewandowski, he scored 57 goals for Barcelona in his 91 appearances in his career so far at the time of speaking. So he's really had a good impact and has won another trophy away from the Bundesliga, where he was heavily dominant in that Bayern Munich side in previous years under different managers. We are going to give it a bit of a pause on Barcelona because I just want to read out the team news for Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich. For anyone listening, it won't matter too much, but for Sarah and I, it will because it's just breaking news. I'm looking at this Real Madrid team, Sarah. Lunin goes ahead of Courtois, which is crazy. You're looking at Kroos and Tchouaméni in the midfield and Nacho and Rudiger at the back. But it's the Bayern Munich team that I'm looking at Konrad Laimer and Alexander Pavlovich in the heart of midfield, which is going to be very, very difficult. What's your thoughts on it with Gnabry starting as well?
Yeah, Gnabry back in the lineup is great. A little bit interesting that Real Madrid is not starting Camavinga again, taking Nacho back with Tchouaméni as their center backs. Okay. I don't know how long that's going to last. I get it. I think Ancelotti's trying to not alter this lineup too much. I think keeping Lunin in is great. Is Eder Militao on the bench? That's something that I'd like to see as well. I'm just checking right now.
He is on the bench, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we might see him come into the lineup a little bit later. I think so.
He got subbed on the weekend, if I remember correctly, as well.
Yeah, but I don't know if they want to obviously start him and getting, a full 90 is a little bit crazy. But yeah, this is Carvajal back in for Vasquez, of course. Huge. I mean, this is gonna be tough. This is gonna be tough. But
no Kim as well. So Upamecano last season was the one creating the chaos at the back, and Kim this season creating chaos for Bayern Munich. So it's going to be Matthias de Ligt and Eric Dyer, who's been a revelation this season on loan for Bayern Munich.
at the Allianz against Madrid last week, I wouldn't start him either. That was shocking. And
We're bigging him up all season after his amazing season last year in Napoli, and then when the going gets tough, it's been very, very difficult for Kim Min-jae. And Alphonso Davies is on the bench as well, so it looks like Mazraoui starting left back.
Mazraoui in too. He's been brilliant. I think this is probably the best back four that Tuchel has to work with. So I think this is a good move from him.
Definitely. Yeah. They're all on form as well, so it's going to be great fun when we get to watch the game and see who gets into the final of the Champions League. And going on to the last topic on Barcelona is the obvious conversation regarding Xavi. So we spoke about it briefly last week when we were talking about our European drafted of the season, but I wanted to give you a bit more time to reflect and really discuss about how Xavi is going to be the manager going into the summer, and there's still cause for concern from you as well, which I'd like to hear a bit more about, if that's okay, Sarah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's been very up and down, right? He's going to leave, then he's going to stay. And then they were still in the Champions League fighting for La Liga. And then they got knocked out of the Champions League, lost to Real Madrid in El Clasico. So the league pretty much was taken, a week and a half after that Champions League knockout to PSG. But I just think that Xavi is still thinking like a Barcelona player. Yeah. He's so emotionally connected to this club, and sometimes the way he responds to the media is like a player would, and I'm like, you are a manager now. You have to turn that off. And I don't know if he can, because he grew up in this club. He had played for this club for so long. I understand that, but maybe that's where we realize he can't be the one to do it. When Barcelona lost this past weekend to Girona 4-2, twice this season, by the way. And Xavi came out and said, insane. Yeah, I mean, credit to Girona. That's not an easy team whatsoever. But Barcelona were up 2-1 and then lost 4-2. That's 3 goals you're getting scored on. It's ridiculous. And then Xavi comes out and says, it's been happening all season. I don't know what's going on, but there are individual mistakes, and I don't understand it. And I'm thinking, you're a manager? If a player says that, there's a bit more leeway, right? They're on the pitch. There's a lot going on. Sometimes if you're up at the the pitch, you can't see everything, whatever. You're a manager. This is your team that you're working with day in and day out. And you're saying, I don't know what's going on. I'm not having that.
Sometimes it's individual brilliance, like that Portugal, the 4th one, that was incredible.
Yeah.
Proper Marco van Basten type of volley, edge of the box, acute angle, incredible. But it's very off-putting when you're seeing Xavi make these type of comments week in, week out. I'm not going to say it's like a certain manager in the Premier League who has been getting a lot of flack this season, but it's more along the lines of he's got his heart on his sleeve and he's thinking more so about the repercussions of the team as opposed to what the team can actually offer when they've got the right players on the pitch. And when you're looking at the players that you've missed out through injury this season, it has been very, very difficult. You've spoken about Xavi missing a lot of game time this season, out potentially for the European Championships. Pedri in and out of the side. You've got Ilkay Gundogan, who's brought a big change of mentality from the outside looking in terms of being a treble winner with Manchester City and having that little bit of an argument with Ronald Araujo earlier this year as well. I think it was during the Champions League time versus PSG. But what do you look to expect going into the summer from a Barcelona perspective, Sarah, with Xavi at the helm, with some new changes potentially coming about, which we'll get into later this summer as well?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like I said, they really need a striker, but they also need to get rid of players. There's a lot of rumors going on, but I think the one thing that Barcelona need to focus on is that backbone of the young Messiah players. Get Gavi healthy, then you have Pedri, then you have Valde, you have Lamine Yamal, you still have Fermin Lopez and Forte. Cubarsí looks like he's going to be a starter now. So hold on to that because the future is bright. But what are you doing with Vitor Roque? Because why are we bringing in this player in January who's played, 4 times? I'm not sure what's going on with him. And I know what he did in Brazil was fantastic. And it looked like, he was going to have a ton of potential, but he's not getting any playing time. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't know if it's because you're having a falling out with Xavi. I don't know if
Do you think it was regarding the red card as well? Because that was a big thing when he wasn't getting as much game time afterwards as well.
That was also not a red card.
It was a BS red card. Let's not get it twisted at all. It was awful. But that may have played with his head a lot, Vitor Roque's as well. Coming into the side, only 10 games in total, 11 games in total, I would say. Then a red card, and you're looking at it thinking, like, there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders already. And Xavi's probably taken him out of the firing line, as opposed to when he's got the La Masia graduates, he puts them into the firing line all the time because he knows they can handle it. They're growing up with that pressure in the academy, in the reserves, and they're used to representing the badge and playing for Barcelona at youth level. But with Vitor Roque, it's a big change of pace from moving from Brazil to Barcelona in January of all times as well. When you see someone like Real Madrid bringing in their Brazilian talents, they bring them in during the summer, or they'll loan them back for 6 months and they'll come in the summer, get a really good preseason under their belt and get used to 1, maybe 2 years before they get really involved in the first team. That's what I'm expecting for them, for Endrick, when he comes into Real Madrid. But with Vitor Roque, I still think there's a very big talent there, a lot more potential to be coming. But
you know what I mean? Like, you can't just play him every 5 games. It's not going to work. Like, that's not going to work. But I also think January, like you mentioned, January transfers usually don't do that well. It's rare to see a January transfer on any club come in and kind of just squeeze right in and start playing really well and consistently. So I don't know. Maybe he does need to get loaned out just to get the confidence in the playing time. That's fine. Bring him back. You know, Barcelona don't have to worry about the wage then. But yeah, they have the 2 Joaos. I don't know. There's rumors about a lot of players leaving too. But yeah, focus on the young squad. And I don't know. I think Xavi needs to do more mentally himself, though. I don't know. Somehow just have a chat with himself.
Okay, just to end the Barcelona segment, let's have a bit of a game, I'd say. Name me 3 players you personally would want to get rid of from Barcelona this summer permanently, not on loan.
Number 1, Romeo. Yeah, you can take him for free. Fine.
Romeo came in for free and is going to be gone for free as well. He's just a bench player forever.
He was 5 million euros. He was
He was 5 million. Oh my goodness me.
The only player that we paid for because everyone else was on loan. The only player. So Romeo, gone, see you. It pains me to say it, but Lewandowski, just because let's try and get some funds for somebody else. And
get him off the wage bill as well. He's been a great servant for the club, but it's just not what you're looking for. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically. And then I'm trying to think of who else, because there's so many other players that I'm like, don't even go near him. Like, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be one of the Joaos probably, because I think they're going to have to pick one or the other. But like I said, I mean, either one would be good to have. Like, I'm a bit more, I don't know. It's
my question to you then, a follow-up question, playing devil's advocate here. If you had to sell one of these 2 big players to raise funds, who would you rather sell? Frankie de Jong or Ronald Araujo, if you had to sell one?
I don't want to play this game.
De Jong's been here since 2018, 19, I believe. And no, 2019, I believe, and Araujo around 2020, I believe, has been there. So 2 big players.
Sorry, you know who we can get rid of is Inigo Martinez as well.
There we go. There's the easy answer.
Yeah. For me,
that was a poor move from him, to be fair. He shouldn't have gone to Barcelona in the first place. He's never getting game time.
No. I'd probably say Frankie, only because I think we have more players that can play in the middle versus playing as a center back. Barcelona has had defender issues since basically Piqué has left, you know. Araujo is too important in his position. Not that Frankie isn't. Frankie's extremely important, but when you have the likes of, Christensen's still there, your favorite player.
My boy.
Pedri, you have Gavi in the middle there. You have Ilkay Gundogan still. Joao Cancelo can play. There's just a few more players that can play in the middle versus in the back. And I just think that's what's more important. I love Frankie and I don't want him going anywhere. But if it comes down to those 2, I think that's the only reason why I would lean slightly towards keeping Araujo.
No, that's fair enough. Nicely done there regarding your Barcelona talk as well. And lots to look forward to with a big summer ahead coming up. And obviously the season isn't over yet for Barcelona as they're looking to secure 2nd place position in La Liga. Unfortunately for Sara, the team that has secured 1st place position in La Liga is, of course, Real Madrid, and Carlo Ancelotti winning another league title, which is furthering his claim for being one of the greatest managers, if not the greatest manager in Real Madrid history, which is incredible to think about with all the achievements that is made. But one topic of conversation I wanted to ask you, Sara, we speak about Jude Bellingham every damn week. So his name is off the table until our end of podcast conversation, which we will get into later on as well. My question to you regarding Real Madrid is, where do you see them going from here? Do you see them continuously looking to build and to buy players and to continuously grow as they are going and going at an astronomical rate? Or do you believe that this may be another Galacticos Part 2 when they sign every great player under the sun and they just can't click anymore? Because that's what happened under Galacticos in the early 2000s. You had the likes of David Beckham, Luis Figo, Zinedine Zidane, Raul, Michael Owen, Ronaldo Nazario as well. All of them couldn't fit into the starting lineup. You had Beckham playing centre midfield. You had Raul playing left midfield. And they sold Claude Makelele to try and fit all of them. And Zinedine Zidane famously said about what's the point of having a new coat of paint when you're getting rid of the engine? And Claude Makelele ended up going to Chelsea and he won 2 league titles in a row in the Premier League, which goes to show it's not always going to be guaranteed success when you have an amazing team like that. But I want to know your perspective, obviously from a Barcelona point of view, and also just from what you've observed from Real Madrid this season. You see what I did there? I gave you hope for next season. I gave you hope.
We should all be scared.
There's always hope.
Not just me in La Liga. Anyone in the Champions League.
Everyone in Europe.
Good luck. Goodbye. We are about to enter a dark Real Madrid crevice. And I think they're only going to go up. Also regarding the Galacticos, I've said this before earlier in the year on this podcast, but this Real Madrid team is better than the Galacticos. And I'm not saying player for player. I'm not saying that.
As a team, as a unit.
As a team, are you kidding me? You could argue some of the past Real Madrid teams have been better. Teams that, Ronaldo, Benzema, like what, they're actually winning things and they're playing as a team. The Galacticos were a group of superstars that, everyone expected to perform well. But as you said, they never clicked and they couldn't do well. And they also weren't together for a long time. This Real Madrid team, with the likes of these young players, Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Jude, Vinny, Rodrigo, Fede, you're bringing in Kylian Mbappe, you're bringing in Alphonso Davies, you're allegedly bringing Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Bringing in, actually, no, it's confirmed, isn't it? Endrick is coming in as well. So that's another one.
Right? These are all players that are under 20, 25?
Yeah. Trent's probably the oldest out of all of them.
Exactly. This is going to be so long for all of us because now it looks like they're actually building a foundation. They have the foundation. It's there. We've looked at this team. You're going to have the best player in the world. You're adding Kylian Mbappe. Who allowed this? It's not fair to anyone.
It's the Super League. It was the Super League that did it. Florentino Perez back in 2021 when he wanted the Super League to happen. He pump faked UEFA and he's like, you know what? Now we're going to do this. Now we're going to have our spaceship emporium of a stadium, Santiago Bernabeu, with players that are out of this world playing in the stadium. He did it metaphorically and now he's done it literally. He's going to complete it literally. He's going to be completing his quest of getting all of the rings that he needs to be the greatest president. He probably is the greatest president in Real Madrid history, Florentino Perez. But it's looking very dangerous and very dark. And we're seeing someone like Salim, who's on the group chat again, absolutely gassed about Aston Villa being in the Champions League. Not if you're playing Real Madrid. Unai Emery would not be able to handle that type of team.
No. That's a walk in the park for Real Madrid. And yeah, like you mentioned, Carlo Ancelotti, arguably Real Madrid's best manager in the history of the club. He's not going anywhere right now. I remember when going to Brazil. Just kidding. Just absolutely kidding. Now Mbappe's coming.
Joking. And I was like, I don't need to go. It's cool. Not even for a holiday. Don't need to go at all.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that he's going to be there for 2 more seasons. At least. Let's see how they keep doing. But obviously with Mbappe coming in, that's going to be really exciting. This team is the La Liga champions right now, and they may be the Champions League winners too. We'll see. We don't know what's happening in today's match, but they're still semifinalists, right? So they went the distance. Now you're bringing in Mbappe. He's going to want to see how that's going to go next season. And then also there's a good chance they could win a treble next season. And he goes, let's run it back. It's going to be really long for me. I'm going to tell you right now. It's going to be long for the next couple of years.
The pain Kylian Mbappe suffered yesterday, losing at home to Borussia Dortmund. And then the reporter then asked him, who do you want to win tomorrow, Kylian? Bayern Munich or Real Madrid? It's like, what are you doing?
That was absolutely unprofessional. That was just silly.
Below the belt. So below the belt.
It was. No, the thing is with Mbappe is we spoke just quickly on that match yesterday, but we spoke about how he can be contained. You posted that reel where we talked about it through
when you were hyping it up and everyone was saying, no. It's Mbappe. It's versus an old man versus Hummels. And I'm like, no. watch Hummels. If you watch him play, James, who we had on the podcast last week, he was telling us glowingly about how he's come back into the best of forms at 35 years of age, and it's not something to write off as well, even in the final. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Dortmund. But like you said as well, fair play to sticking to your guns as well. Like you said, they were contained until that red card against Barcelona, and Mbappe couldn't deal with scoring at least one goal in the two legs against Portugal.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I do feel for him more than, some other players for sure. But PSG, it's just this constant like roller coaster. This, I don't know. It's just, whatever. I'm so happy they're not in the final.
Nah,
frauds don't make the final, ladies and gentlemen.
It's what we like to see. It's what we like to see. And they lose at home as well all the time in the Champions League. Like my favorite moment was seeing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the former Manchester United player and manager, in the stands. And I'm just like, the last time Ole was here, he won. And the time before that, he won in the last minute by a Marcus Rashford penalty. So I'm like, they just haven't learnt their lesson from 5-6 years ago, PSG, into how to get over the line in these big games in the second leg at the Parc des Princes as well, which is incredible that they haven't done it yet. And I don't think they will for a good number of years as well. And also from a Luis Enrique perspective as well, it's great progress, but it's going to be a very, very big rebuild to see how they do over the summer as well.
Honestly, like you mentioned in the group chat, they might sack him. So let's see how long. Let's see. I don't think they should. I think he's been the best manager they've had in years. But I've with the way PSG move, there's no loyalty to anyone. So
exactly.
Let's see.
I'm looking forward to seeing the summer as well, because there's rumors of Thomas Tuchel moving. There's obviously rumors of potentially Erik ten Hag leaving Manchester United. But there's a manager I wanted to speak to you about, because he is getting his flowers in a very, very big way, year in, year out, and he continues to thrive. Diego Simeone, Sara, Atletico Madrid. We've spoken glowingly about Antoine Griezmann. We've spoken a lot more about how they've been a lot more attacking this season, playing a lot of younger players, which has been a lot more refreshing to see Atletico Madrid, mostly in the Champions League for me. But like you said, with La Liga as well, it's been great to see how they've been developing. But can we just get a bit of a word on how Diego Simeone just continues to impress week in, week out in La Liga, from your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is a club that was almost built around Simeone. Like if you take Simeone out of this club, I think half the players leave as well, right? It's so intertwined. He is such a piece of this club to the bone. So, I mean, I think my biggest issue with Simeone is I really wanted to see them go further on in the Champions League, because one thing Atleti seem to continuously do is choke at the wrong moments in the Champions League. And it looks like they're going to be getting into the, the fourth spot again in La Liga. Bilbao gave them a run for their money, but there's still a chance. There's a chance. I don't think Atleti will screw that up. But
do you get 5 in La Liga? 5 Champions League places?
No, they got it was Germany and Italy.
Germany and Italy, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's confirmed so early as well, especially with Real Madrid potentially still in the final.
I'm sorry, like Italy. That's
remember, Conference League counts to it. Atalanta in the Europa League. So for some reason, all these little things count to it, which makes no sense to me.
When was the last time we saw an Italian team in Champions League? January? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. Quarterfinals, literally against Atletico Madrid. The penalty shootout.
No, like it's just whatever. No, it's great for the Conference League and stuff, but it's just like, why are we basing a different competition and another like they're not the same. They're not the same.
It makes no difference to coefficients as well. It's just, it makes no sense to see how they continue to change the way the dynamics of the Champions League will be. It's such a great format at the moment.
Oh yeah, this is the last pure Champions League.
I'd say the last pure Champions League was when they had away goals, and then they got rid of it. And then you're just like, all these little things are just, they're nitpicking at trying to change and develop it further. And I'm just like, it's not a great way of encouraging Champions League football, because it just shows that they're going to try and prioritize Champions League football over league football and continue playing the bigger games. And it ruins the surprises, the drama, the fear factor of going to an underdog in Scandinavia or Eastern Europe and losing. It's incredible that they've just changed the way that this is going to go for the next couple of years. And I hope it doesn't work out well from a objective point of view, because this is such a great way, 32 teams in the Champions League, allowing teams from all across Europe to play against each other in a group stage where you can get a shock or two, which has been something that's happened to a very, very large amount of teams this season and over the last couple of years within the Champions League. But it will be great to see how Diego Simeone continues to thrive, and I don't think he's leaving anytime soon from Atletico Madrid. Now I've got one for you, Sarah. Who's been your most underrated team in La Liga this season?
Well, is it fair to say Girona and what they've done?
Absolutely. I mean, you would never expect them to be second or third, and that's what they are in the top four. Champions League team as well.
Champions League team, unless the City group screw these guys
I
over.
warned you about that. I warned you about that earlier this season.
I will riot on the streets if what Manchester City is doing is going to screw up this Girona team who fought tooth and nail, who came back from the Segunda and now might finish second in La Liga, ahead of Barcelona. Maybe there's still time. It's only a point difference, but they've secured a UCL position, beating Barcelona last week. They should compete in the UCL. They went undefeated for the first 4 months. There was a moment I remember where we were talking about, are they gonna do this?
It was what was the biggest surprise? Leverkusen, Aston Villa, or Girona? And we're just like, yeah, exactly. Girona's got to be the biggest surprise because we've not heard of them as a big team, as an exclusive team.
I've obviously watched them for a while now. You have 38-year-old, I think, Christian Stuani still doing the thing. Like, it's amazing for them. Eric Garcia, who was arguably one of Barcelona's worst players last season, goes to Girona and now is having the season of a lifetime. They were doing an interview with him after the Barca match over the weekend, and he was just grinning from ear to ear because he's thinking, look where I am and look where I used to be. I did it. Like, it's incredible. Artem Dovbyk.
He was playing right back, wasn't he, against Barcelona?
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah. Incredible
Most
to see.
In La Liga, Artem Dovbyk. It's just
debut season as well for Dovbyk.
Exactly. Like, they kind of rallied a few of these players, and it's just been absolutely brilliant under Michel. And I think they deserve all the credit. And I really hope whatever's happening with Citigroup doesn't affect them, because it would just be so unfair. Absolutely unfair, because what they've been doing hasn't been, illegal, like potentially what City's been doing.
We may find out in due course if it has been illegal or not, due to the Citigroup and their ever-present nature in different football clubs. My favorite story of the season. Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just gonna say, if they get pulled, does that mean Bilbao go up into Champions League position?
Yeah.
Also love, but still, no, Girona.
It's all good. We'll get into Athletic Bilbao in a bit. But my story of the season for Girona was obviously Daley Blind, the former Manchester United and Ajax defender. The reason he's my favorite is he suffered from 2 cardiac arrests in his career, and he was considering retirement. And the fact that he's qualified for the Champions League once again, not with Ajax, not with Manchester United, with Girona, in, I believe, his first season in La Liga, it goes to show the incredible feat that even someone like Daley Blind, who was a bit part player at Manchester United, he was a shining star for the Netherlands under Louis van Gaal in the 2014 World Cup. And he still starts in the Netherlands national team under Ronald Koeman. And it's great to see stories like this where you've got someone who potentially could have retired 2-3 years ago due to heart problems as well. And we've seen it with the likes of Sergio Aguero, previously in England with Fabrice Mwamba. But Daley Blind, really, really well done to you. And I'm really proud that you're going to be getting Champions League football. And it's had some incredible games across the season for Girona as well. But one team that had an incredible run, not in the league, in the Copa del Rey, Athletic Bilbao. Talk to us, Sarah. You picked Williams in your draft team last week. Talk to us about how they've been shining. First trophy of the decade, is it? Or the first trophy for like the century? I can't remember the tagline that they had about. Is that
I don't remember the tagline either. I didn't even know that was a thing, because Bilbao is such a force in La Liga.
Copa won their first major trophy in 40 years. That was it.
What?
40 years, Sarah.
It's insane. Crazy to think of a team that you're saying that they haven't won in 40 years, but they are constantly a threat in La Liga, in the Copa del Rey, and if they make any European competition, like going to play at San Mamés in Bilbao is always an issue for Barcelona. Like, you look at that game coming up on the weekend and you're like, this one's a big one. Like, the fact that they haven't, they're trophyless in 40 years until now, but that is still a big threat, just shows you the potential and the drive that this team has, because they're not winning anything, but they're producing brilliant players. And similarly to Barcelona, I'd say after Barcelona in Spain, well, in Europe, in the world, Barcelona produces players like no other team. But in Spain, Bilbao is second for their production of players. Bilbao only brings players from the Basque country. So
They're not checking their scouting network. They're checking their birth certificates and hospitals. That's how they have to grow. They have to grow these players into footballers. They have to nurture them. Forget being a doctor. You have to be a footballer in the Basque country.
It's so rare to see a player that isn't from Basque country play there. I mean, even Real Sociedad, they're rivals, but up there too. I know we've seen, you know, players like Xavi Alonso and Griezmann. There's been a few more, but they are like, you're not even bringing players from Spain. You're bringing it from a region, and then you're still doing this well. Who is scouting for you guys? Are they just like on the streets being like, all right, we're gonna start training them? Because
it's just the parents. It's just the parents of previous players. It's like, you know what? There's a couple players here. I'll be checking them out in school. Pause, and then they'll be having to look at different games across the age groups as well, which is incredible to think about how what a unique position it is for Athletic Bilbao to have that type of opportunity, and the fact that they've stuck with their guns. That's what I find so incredible. They've built this grand new stadium in the last 10 years, if I remember correctly. The last time I saw the old stadium was in around 2012, so it may have been around 2016, 17. You would correct me if I was wrong with that one. But the fact that they've bought so many amazing talents through and they've sold them for grand amounts of profit under Herrera, for Llorente, Javi Martinez. Iker Muniain has been a stalwart in that team since
last season too, and they won.
Last season, he got his. They have the whole Marco Reus story of the Champions League. This is the Bilbao story of Iker Muniain having his career ending with a trophy, which is incredible. And I thought he should have deserved more Spanish caps around 2015, 2016 when Bilbao were on the up. That's just my opinion as well. But yeah, it's great to see what Athletic Bilbao have really done. But has there been any surprises across La Liga before we get into our final topic of the day? So maybe someone from like Real Sociedad, you know me, I'm a big fan of Takefusa Kubo, Villarreal, somewhere floating around mid-table, and of course the return of Sergio Ramos to Spain and to Seville, his hometown team. Have there been any surprises over the season that have caught your eye that you thought, you know what, it would be worth talking about and letting the audience know? This is why La Liga continues to surprise everyone.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the table, Sevilla's 12th right now. They had a terrible season last year too. You have Sergio Ramos who returned to it. There is a lot of concern around this team and kind of like, when is Sevilla gonna, you know, be back to being Sevilla, you know, a team winning the Europa League like how many times?
They got to the semi-final last season of the Europa League, and they got to the group stages this time, but they didn't. Yeah,
they were in the relegation zone in the Liga, fired everyone they knew, kept bringing in managers. Finally, they got out of relegation and then went on a journey in Europa League. And you were thinking, what is going on with this team?
It's like a curse for them. They have to win the Europa League. That's why the funniest thing this season, when they were in Arsenal's group, they finished fourth. They didn't get into the. No, did they finish fourth or second? I've forgotten. Arsenal, no, they finished fourth because PSV won on the final day. So PSV went through to face Borussia Dortmund. But they finished fourth when they tried to finish third again. And they're like, if they were in the Europa League, they would have gone on another big run. And it wasn't the case for them, unfortunately, which was.
I think so too.
Yeah. But they've got a lot of old players as well. Their centre back, Gulej, I forgot how you pronounce his name.
I don't know how to say his name, but I know I'm gonna butcher it if I say it.
Don't worry, I butchered it already for the both of us, which is great as well. Ramos, Gulej, Soumare's on loan from Leicester City. You got a Man United loanee, Hannibal Mejbri on loan, and you've got En-Nesyri, who was fantastic for Morocco, but is still not getting the service he somewhat desires. I mean, they played really well on the weekend, and there was more in terms of the fact they had the Sevilla derby a couple of weeks ago against the Real Betis, and they didn't really turn up in that game from what I saw. Real Betis really could have got away with the win. And obviously my kind of topic of conversation with Real Betis is the fact that Isco went from Sevilla to Real Betis over the summer and has been thriving and is looking like, no, I'm not going to say he's looking like, I'm going to ask you, Sarah, would you take Isco to Euro 2024 for Spain?
Yeah.
Back up.
Yeah, I think so. I think you have to, yeah. I don't think he's getting the start, but I think you bring him in, especially with the likes of Xavi being out. He's been brilliant this season. He has the experience. He's never really been a big time national team player, so that'll be interesting to see. But I think the way he's played this season, he deserves a shout for sure. Come on the bench, what you can do.
Especially because the European Championship squads have been extended to 26 players now. So there can be a few wild cards that can be added into the side, which will be somewhere where if you are going to make 5 subs in a tournament, you've got more subs to utilize, which would be incredible to see more attacking players thrive, especially when it goes into extra time and to penalties as well. That's when you need to get the most out of some of these players who can pull a trick out of the hat, like Isco can, and he continues to do that at the ripe old age of 30, 31, if I remember correctly. Forgot how old Isco is.
But like for a footballer.
It's true. His time has gone very, very quick.
32, how? Wow.
32, making me feel old after hearing that, which is incredible. Oh man. Right. To end the podcast today, Sarah and I, we are going to be making, it's not a draft like we normally do. We are going to be following the EA Sports La Liga Team of the Season nomination. So what they've done is, because I had my dissertation due this week, they've very kindly given us a shortlist of the players who have been the best players in and around La Liga. And obviously, Sarah being our La Liga expert, she will be telling us if they're capping or if they're actually telling the truth, if actually some of these players have been very good. So if we start from, of course, we did a 4-3-3 formation for anyone who is listening. Let's see how this goes. So we've got the team from, oh, this is a very, very dreadful. I'm seeing Oscar Mingueza, who used to play for Barcelona. Is he on loan or is he sold?
What a guy. He like wanted way more money, and then we were like,
for
no.
what? Being a bench player.
Yeah. Okay, where are we starting? I'm starting in the back.
Yeah, we'll start in goal. So just reading the names from the list from this EA, from all these screenshots from the EA site as well. Lunin, Unai Simon, and Alvaro Valles. And Alvaro Valles, I've probably seen 2 games of him in his career, so I'm not going to pretend like I know much about him.
This is what I have to say. Lunin is a great shout because he's obviously had to come in and take over Thibaut Courtois. And we've seen that more, especially in the Champions League. In La Liga, it hasn't been as detrimental, let's say, as what he's done in the UCL. But
less impact, yeah.
Yeah, Unai Simon. They win their first trophy. Okay, he has the most clean sheets in La Liga. Absolutely understand this.
Still Spain's number 1, right?
Yeah. Where is, well, it might be David Ryan now. Where is Ramiro from Real Sociedad, second most clean sheets? And I know that Barcelona had 4 goals scored on them this past weekend, but are you telling me that Marc-Andre ter Stegen is still not the best keeper in La Liga? To me, I don't really think Lunin, and maybe Lunin, but Valles, I don't know who called this guy. He shouldn't be here. If you're asking me, it'll be between Unai Simon, Marc-Andre ter Stegen, and Alex Ramiro. If you want Lunin, fine, but that would be my shout. I don't know what's going on here.
All right, I'll make a note of this one. In goal, should we go for Unai Simon for the variety?
We can. That means only, what, 1 more Bilbao player up top?
Yeah, 1 more later on in the team. I'm prioritizing some of these outfield players for bigger teams as well. In the defense, in this list, we've got former Barcelona defender Oscar Mingueza, who plays for Celta Vigo, Jan Couto for Girona, Dani Carvajal, João Cancelo, Sergi Cardona, Miguel Gutierrez, who I've been very, very impressed with, Diego Rico, Mika Marmol from La Palmas, Axel Witsel, who has been fantastic at centre-back in a back 3, Daniel Vivian from Athletic Bilbao, not really seen much or noticed much of him, to be honest with you. German Pizzala, the World Cup winner for Argentina, Ronald Araujo for Barcelona, Daley Blind, Antonio Rudiger, Robin Lenormand of Real Sociedad, and of course, the late, incredible footballer. I was going to say late. He's always late to tackle. That's the thing about Sergio Ramos. He's so late to tackle. I probably think about more of him at Real Madrid when he just would. I don't know. With Sergio Ramos, though, I don't think he's had a great season. He's been fantastic to watch. He's been box office, but he continues to make these late tackles all the time, from what I've seen this season. But what's your back four looking like originally? I want Araujo, Daley Blind, Gutierrez, and I want Cancelo in there. But it's not going to make much sense if we're going to stick to our 2 team per limit. So how are we going to work this, Sarah?
Well, I mean, I think Axel Witsel is a great shout, and I think he's getting looked over a lot with some of these other players, but I think he's been one of the best defenders in La Liga this season. He's played, I think, if not every match for Atleti in all competitions, then almost every single match. He's been crucial for them. I love the Gutierrez shot. Also, shout out to Jan Cuoto because he's been great for Girona as well. And like the fact, I mean, I think if Rudiger had been fit for more of the season, he'd walk in there. But I think because he has been injured, we have to look at everything. We have to look at everything. I'm happy.
If we're looking at everything, there aren't many other Sevilla players across this list in the shortlist for midfielders or attackers either. So
I'm sorry, I'm not putting Sergio Ramos in the team of the.
That's what I'm saying. He just makes too many late tackles. It's worrying to see.
It's also just
yellow card central.
I refuse to put a team that is like struggling to make the top 10. Like no. Okay, so can we confirm? So we're gonna do Gutierrez and Araujo. Can we lock in?
So you're going for Ronald Araujo as your centre back. Yeah. And Gutierrez is your pick for left back and your first for Girona.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That's cool. And now we just need a right back.
We're only doing 3 defenders.
You're going to go for 3? We're going to go.
Wait, I said, are we doing 3 or 4? Because then we need one more.
We need 4.
Center back, and we need.
Who's a right back that we can use? There's Cancelo. There's Carvajal. I'm really butchering it with this little growl, the Spanish growl I'm trying to perfect. Jan Coutu, but then that means 2. Ooh.
Carvajal is a right back.
Carvajal.
Alex Witsel play as a right back.
Should we put Alex Witsel at right?
Sorry, Alex. I'm happy to put Axel Witsel as the right.
Yeah, let's go. And then let's put someone. Who could we put in? Pazala, not really. Lenormand has been very good this season. Champions League experience as well, which was fantastic to see. And it's a Real Sociedad pick. I don't mind putting him in.
I don't mind. Let's put that in.
Lenormand. Sorry, Sergio Ramos. You're gonna have to stop fouling people and command your defense a bit better. This is where the fun begins because we are in La Liga and we are getting to focus on these midfield players. So we've got Zubimendi, who one of our friends of the channel, shout out Matthew, has been vying for Zubimendi to be signing for Arsenal over the summer. And he's been fantastic to watch in Real Sociedad colours this season. You've got Ruiz de Galarreta, who I can't pronounce properly, Frankie de Jong, Ilkay Gundogan, Alexi Garcia from Girona, Isco. Then you've got Kyrian Rodriguez, Tony Cruz, Federico Valverde, Alex Baena, who's been very, very impressive, and of course, Jude Bellingham. So
let's put Jude Bellingham in right away. Let's not mess around here.
No need to.
There's not going to be another Barcelona player because that's being saved for the man on the left wing. I'm happy to put, you know what, Isco has been fantastic this season. If you want Isco and Zubimendi, I'd be pleased to do that.
What about Alex Baena? He's been incredible for Villarreal. And it's kind of like the Cole Palmer situation. 12 assists, has been very creative for them.
So what are we looking at stats-wise? Let's just check that really quick.
Let's have a look. Yeah, he's on 12 assists, Alex Baena.
Isco bringing it back. Love that.
Do you know what's making it more difficult now for your strike? We'll talk about strikers in a bit, but it's very, very difficult to how we're going to look at it for strikers. But Zubimendi may have to be the final pick because Baena, otherwise we've got 3 attacking midfielders and there's absolutely no balance as well. But Valverde, we can't overlook Valverde and what he's done this season.
Hold on, let me go to the attackers really. So you're saying Vinny Jr. isn't making the team then?
But you're looking, the Canadian accent came out of you there, which is great. That's what I'm saying. There's so many attackers that we want to mention.
Come on. And I know, wait a minute.
You said you wanted to save your Bilbao pick for up front. That's what I'm considering.
No, I've taken it all back. I know.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just making sure we're on the same page now. That's fine. We don't have to mention Valverde.
My front 3 are, which means we cannot use Barcelona, Girona, or Real Madrid in this midfield, besides Bellingham.
That's fine. I wanted to make sure of that. So I think Zubimendi may have to be the sensible pick for this one.
Yeah, we can Zubimendi it up. Wow, 2 Sociedad players. Hold on a minute. So only one Bilbao.
That's what I'm saying, because you had your Bilbao player on lock, and I'm thinking, I know who you're talking about, but
I know, but we actually, then I realized where he plays, and there's only one man that can play there, and that is this man right here.
This is incredible. So just to finalize, we've got Unai Simon in goal from Athletic Bilbao. We've got Axel Witsel right back, Ronald Araujo, Robin Lenormand, and Miguel Gutierrez in the back four. We've got a midfield three of Zubimendi, Jude Bellingham, and Isco from Real Sociedad, Real Madrid, and Real Betis, respectively. So Real midfield is what I'm looking at right now. The front three. I'm going to list the names off here so Sara can explain exactly why she lost her mind just there. So we're going to start with Rioja from Deportivo Alves, Samuel Lino, who's also played as a wing back for Atletico Madrid.
Great, you know.
Nico Williams, Lamine Yamal, MG11. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't like him for what he's done. Takefusa Kubo, my boy, but we're not picking Sociedad for this one, my friend. Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, Gerard Moreno, Hugo Duro, who's had a very impressive season in front of goal as a number 9 for Valencia, Budimir for Osasuna, Artem Dovbyk, the shining light for Girona in their attacking final third, Borja Mayoral for Getafe, Alvaro Morata. Sara's been bigging Morata up all season long. And if she hasn't been bigging up Alvaro Morata, she's been doubling up on Antoine Griezmann, strike partner for Atletico Madrid. Savio for Girona, En-Nesyri, my Moroccan boy, and finally Inaki Williams as the final winger, and of course Robert Lewandowski for Barcelona.
Okay, here's what I want to say about this. There are some players in this attacking group from.
You can make a starting 11 with this attack. That's all I'm saying. Look at the shortlist. It's incredible.
These players we can put in the midfield, and I think we might have. Are we only allowed to keep these players in their positions? Because if Antoine Griezmann doesn't make this team, I'm leaving. I'm folding. But we could put him in the middle.
My thought process is this. This is my thought process. Hear me out. Lamine Yamal goes in on the right. Antoine Griezmann goes in the middle, and Vinicius Jr. goes in the left.
So Artem Dovbyk doesn't make it.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy for what's happened.
Most goals in La Liga.
Who do we take out though? Because we got Jude Bellingham, who's also top scorer for Real Madrid.
He can play wherever he wants. I would honestly potentially take out Isco and put Griezmann in on the right.
You know what I would do to make it a bit more gung ho? Get rid of Zubimendi because Griezmann can play in midfield as well.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Get rid of one of the two. So that's what I'm saying. We cannot. First of all, we also almost. Oh no, we had Axel Witsel. I was going to say, did we have
Axel Witsel?
I'd say Zubimendi goes. We have our Sociedad shout with Lenormand. We put Griezmann in there because he can play wherever he wants because he's the guy. And then we have Dovbyk, Lamine Yamal, and Vinny. There are so many players not making this. Is so hard.
And the series been the shining light for Sevilla this season, which is unbelievable.
The fact that there aren't we don't have a Nico Williams in this either.
That's who I was. I knew you were referring to Nico Williams as the winger. That's why, okay, cool. We don't have to use Vinicius Jr., but I'm like, nah, she's going to remember, surely.
No, we have.
It wasn't a George Weah moment for this one.
George. Yeah, big shout outs, though, like Savio, Morata, like I said. Oh, my God.
Lewandowski, of course, as well. Fantastic.
Takefusa, Kubo, Lino. It's too. There's just not enough positions, but I think this is gonna have to be as good as it gets. Oh, no Camavinga, no Tchouaméni. Oui. Yeah.
All right, then. Let's go through these players one by one to finalize why they made it into our La Liga EA Sports team of the season. So rounding off from back to front with our usual 4-3-3 and our usual 2 limit per team limit that we've got as well. So at the back, Athletic Bilbao and Spain #1, Unai Simon in goal. Then a back 4 of Axel Witsel at right back, Ronald Araujo centre back, partnered by Robin Lenormand, and Miguel Gutierrez from Girona make up the back 4. Then a very, very attacking midfield 3 of Jude Bellingham, Isco, and Antoine Griezmann. We've got no DM. We don't need it. We're going gung-ho in this lineup. And an attacking 3 of Lamine Yamal, Artem Dovbyk, and Vinicius Jr. No Williams, no Lewandowski, and no Alvaro Morata. And of course, no Savio as well. Big names missing out in the attack, but I'm really happy with the way we got to a conclusion of this one. From this list, Sarah, from this team that we've got, it goes to show that there is still so much talent at the latter years in La Liga. When you're looking at Isco at 32 years old, Griezmann 32 years old, you're looking at someone like Axel Witsel, who has come back from Russia, if I remember correctly, played in China, if I remember as well, coming back into Atletico Madrid. These players have had second redemptions or third redemptions even back in La Liga, which goes to show that there's always time when you're seeing someone who may not be at the top level anymore to continue playing in top leagues. It may not be at the best clubs, or it may just be as bit part players, but it goes to show that they've been really, really impressed across this season once again. What's your thoughts on what you've seen so far from these players over the season, Sarah?
No, it's brilliant. Like you have, like you mentioned, players, in their early 30s, like Griezmann and Isco with their resurgences. And then you have a Lamine Yamal who's still 16 and breaking records. Like the versatility on this La Liga team is brilliant. And, even Jude Bellingham, the first season with a new club playing in La Liga, first time playing in this, it's unbelievable. And that being said, there are still so many players that were omitted from this simply because we don't have the space to have a 22-man squad. But other teams like your Villarreal's, who there's no players that made it in here, or, even like you said, a Sevilla, Valencia, it's hard, but it is a very versatile team. And I think that shows just the strength of La Liga and the players they produce and the teams that are there. It's great.
And an underrated factor for me is the storylines they continue to produce as well. The amount of last-minute goals that Jude Bellingham continues to score in La Liga at the Santiago Bernabeu with his incredible, iconic, eagle-eyed celebration as well. You're looking at Lamine Yamal being an incredible force for Barcelona on that right-hand side, having shades of Lionel Messi in his dribbling, in his balance, in his composure on the ball. You're looking at someone like Miguel Gutierrez coming out of absolutely nowhere to become one of the best left-backs in European football this season, creating so many chances, having such a ferocity in his defending. And of course, someone like Unai Simon, who's won his first domestic trophy for Athletic Bilbao as well. Stories continue to build it within La Liga, and it goes to show that this league is continuing to thrive, not just at the top, but in the middle and at the bottom of the league, respectively, as well, which is great to see. We can't finish off without a start bench sell, Sarah. So I'm going to give you a very easy start bench sell just before we end it. Oh, it's not easy at all, but it needs to be said. Start bench sell, La Liga edition, strikers edition for Sarah and I. So we're going on this season's form only. We are going on Yusuf En-Nesyri, Gerard Moreno, and Hugo Duro. It may not be the most clippable of videos, but it's a good segue to end our podcast and to get ready for the Champions League semi-final. So who would you start, bench, and sell from Hugo Duro, Yusuf En-Nesyri, and Gerard Moreno?
I think I start Gerard Moreno. I think
classy player.
Yeah, he's also been around the block. He's played not only with Villarreal, but he's played with Spain. He has the experience. My concern with En-Nesyri is the
over-reliance on long balls.
Maybe, but also the lack of
finesse.
Talent, no, right now with Sevilla. Sevilla is not a good team right now. So I think that it's a bit difficult because it's hard to think about a striker that's playing on a relatively poor team right now. But still,
Rasmus Højlund, prime example.
Gosh, we didn't talk about Crystal Palace. Did you want to?
No, I'm good. I know there's a Champions League semi-final you want to watch today, so I'm all good.
There is. Okay, I'll go start Gerard Moreno, bench Nesyri. Well, Hugo Duro.
Oh, Hugo Duro. Hugo Duro has been fantastic this season, but yeah, I think if I'm going on this season's form, I'd start Hugo Duro, I'd bench Gerard Moreno, and someone who I've appreciated watching over the years, Yusuf En-Nesyri. He may have to leave Sevilla at the end of the season, but I think I'm going to have to find out in a couple of weeks' time, which would be good to see if he stays, especially with AFCON coming up next summer as well, which would be incredible. But On that note, Sarah, I just want to say thank you very much for your time, your efforts, and your conversation as always. It's been a great pleasure having you on and a nice change of pace for this episode on Friday Night Counterattack, which was incredible. Before we go, I want to say, actually, no, I don't want to say, I'm going to ask you. Score predictions. Who's going through to beat Borussia Dortmund in the final?
Come on, Bayern Munich! You got the Germany jersey on.
The Klassiker final. We're seeing all German final. It's going to happen. Kane versus Sancho.
I hope so, but I do think Real Madrid will go through. I'm praying for Bayern, but I think we're going to get goals today, though. That's what I'm telling you. It's going to be spicy and maybe even a red card. That's all I have to say. This one's too hard to pick.
I'm saying penalties. It could lead to penalties in the Santiago Bernabeu once again, which would be incredible. Bring on Courtois as a last-minute sub as well. It could happen. It could definitely happen. Insane stats have said that Barcelona are going to get Champions League football. But I think Barcelona are going to beat Girona the second. That's my second opinion of the day. I don't think it's going to be good.
Football nonetheless for Girona.
Definitely. Great stories across La Liga this season. Everyone, thank you very much for listening. Do take care, and we will see you next week. Take care and goodbye.